This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. So there's been some recent developments in international rugby. If you haven't heard, Warren Gatland is gone. As I've entitled this video, Gone Baby Gone. He's out of there. So I felt my arm was forced and I should make a video just to discuss it. Because it's been on the cards, I think, particularly over the last few weeks, and I'll let you know my thoughts. I'll try to go easy on the guy because it can't be a good time for him and his family, but I'll speak my mind as much as it's relevant. So from what I can gather, Gatland was on like thin ice since December. Apparently they had a meeting with the WRU, who will come out as no saints in this. Let's be perfectly honest. But they said to him, because of your, recent achievements, not recent, past achievements with Wales, we'll give you a little bit more time. That kind of can't have really filled him with confidence, but he pursued in the job. And basically what it sounds like is he thought he could bring the team out of this losing streak. And when he realized that he couldn't, I think after the Italy game, it was pretty plain on his face. That's one thing about Gatland. Positive, I guess you can say. You can see what he's thinking on his face. I mean, yeah, he looked pretty disgusted with the whole thing. So, so he decided to walk away by mutual agreement. I was saying that I wanted him to be sacked, as kind of a, I'm not that proud of saying it, but I did feel a certain kind of way towards him. Just the way he's treated the players that he's brought through. I think Pivac, for all his faults, he did a much better job of it. And those players that Pivac brought through in his short tenure, they're still in the Welsh side now. So I just thought that he mistreated a lot of the players. So, it was through mutual agreement. So I guess he resigned. But I think everyone in the world could see this coming. So it's finally happened. But what next for Wales? So what's next for Wales is that Matt Sherratt, who's the Cardiff boss, Cardiff are having a pretty good season actually, and that guy has a lot of experience. He's a bit of a journeyman coach, no offence in mentioning that. He's worked for Worcester, Bristol, Ospreys, Blues, and he's been involved in the Wales setup previously. I think he's an Englishman. He's going to be caretaker manager or coach until the end of the Six Nations, and then I guess he'll make a decision. And I really do think more it's on his shoulders now whether he wants the job or not, because it has to be one of the worst jobs at the moment to take in international rugby. But he's not been a fully fledged international coach, so he seems like a good guy to have around the youngsters. He worked for the England development squad early on in his career. And, his first few comments coming into the job were reassuring, saying that, he needs to take care of the younger players and build up the self-confidence and the belief in themselves, which I think everyone can see was completely shot in the Gatland's ring. So the future of the assistant coaches and the Gatland is still under question. And apparently they're going to make a decision in the next few days as to whether the coaches stay on or not. I think Jonathan Humphreys, Rob Howley, who's in the thumbnail, and a couple of others. Adam Jones is coming to help the scrum. I don't think he'd be kind of included as part of the main coaching staff, but I hope Howley goes too. I mean, Howley and Gatland have been in lockstep since early on, since their Wasps days, and I think if Gatland goes, Howley, if he's loyal, if he has any loyalty at all, he should have already resigned. And that's the thing about Howley. I don't think he has got any loyalty, but there we are. That's another story. We'll see what the new makeup of the Welsh management team. And make no mistake, I'm not under any illusions that this kind of sacking, it's not a sacking, but Gatland being gone will fix Welsh rugby in any way. I think all of the Welsh public know what a hole we're in. but I think it was the right thing to do. And I think even the message of it being in the middle of the Six Nations is like, I agree with that as well. I don't think they should have waited. I think it'd gone on long enough, and I think you had to end it off. You had to cut off the wound. You had to cauterize and sever the wound and get it gone, and then you have to rebuild from there. And there are structural problems with Welsh rugby. The WRU has been, kind of skimming a lot of the, how can I say this, not allegedly, I'm not a lawyer, so WRU hasn't put the best interests of the Welsh international team, I think, at the forefront. There you go, lawyer talk, for the last few years. And this is by no means going to solve our problems, but it's a bit of a start, I think, at least in terms of like looking after the younger players, which I think a lot of the Welsh fans felt that they'd been mistreated under Gatland's rule. And hopefully that's the case. As for Gatland himself and his coaching legacy, I will say the old adage remains true: never go back. I mean, his legacy was intact when he left Wales and he went back to his home country, New Zealand. And he should never have come back. And, I think that's a good lesson for any coach or any person in life, actually. And he went to New Zealand, and this is where I have a little bit of a rant about Gatland. And he was like voted the worst New Zealand coach of the season when he went back. Then he went to director of rugby. He wasn't successful there. And then ultimately he got fired from those positions or resigned. And then he came crawling back to Wales, and I have no doubt they gave him a very good contract financially, and he took it. And you have to then start to question his kind of his impact on that like golden era of Welsh success. Wales had a lot of Grand Slams, a lot of Six Nations championships. We also had like a golden generation of players, and you have to say, was it not because of Gatland, but despite of him? Now let me grab it quickly. Oh, I see. I have a ticket here. I was fortunate enough to go to the semi-final in Japan, in the Yokohama Stadium, and I watched Wales play South Africa. And, I was in the stands. We lost with the last kick of the game, ultimately. And, Wales were, unlucky not to go through to the final again. And but all I could keep thinking is, when you watch the game live, you can see the game much clearer in terms of the space on the pitch and everything. And Wales's backline at that time, maybe not now, obviously, but at that time was much more threatening than the South Africans. South Africans had a very strong pack, but backline wasn't really formed perfectly, even though they went on to win the thing. But I think Colby was injured in the semis as well. And Wales just run it up the guts all game. Box kicked, run it up the guts all game. And they had a great backline. And I was just thinking the entire match, if we spin it out, if we try something, we could get something, we could score here. And I think like maybe Gatland like held back that team a little bit. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but like I say, I was there at the match and I watched it with my own eyes, and that's the kind of feeling that I had when I left the game. You had the whole thing with the Lions and Sean O'Brien criticising Rob Howley and Gatland as well. You had all the players, going on strike. The experienced players as well, and that wasn't directly to do with Gatland, but you'd think they'd have some kind of relationship with him where they could sort stuff out, but I don't know. And then you had Sean Edwards, apparently he was in line and for the Welsh job when Gatland left, but they snubbed him and he went over to France. And how much was he an influence in that successful era? If you watch or listen to any of the Welsh players talk about their experience during that time, they'll say like he was the beating heart of that squad. So it all comes into question now. If he hadn't gone back, his legacy would have been safe and sound, but he did, and now it's under question, and I don't think he can complain about that really. But this is not a personal criticism of him. I don't know the man, and I'm sure he's a nice guy. Yeah. As long as they get Howley out of there, I'll be happy. But tough times for Wales, and it's only getting tougher. Hopefully now the boys against Ireland, who are looking fired up, can get a half decent result. I'll kind of back them to do something in the next match, but that's getting a little bit too far myself. But just a bit of news, let you know. I put up a playlist of rugby news videos. I haven't made that many of them, but I think they're pretty interesting when I do make them. So I'll put the playlist up, and I'll put another video up as well, so check them out. All right, thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.